I'm a person that lives in the suburb of Leichhardt in the dark city of Sydney in the country of Australia. The reason I say dark city is because it is now very controlled, and it is now, after midnight at night, so it's very quiet. It should be, so I can make this actual recording without any disturbance. And I'm just going to show, if I can record, that most cities are control systems for humanity, and they are not controlled by human beings at all. They are controlled by human beings that are essentially the equivalent of psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, paranoid, controlling beings. And I use all those descriptions over and over because the paranoid simply means that they must surveil and watch 24/7. So they have tracking systems in operation using high technical computer systems, which are, I'm told, openly available to some extent. But if you allow for the reality that all these are city control systems, which means they are controlled by the powers that control your city or your country, and all countries are now linked together, just as the internet and the computer system links the world. All this is really just showing you that it's really one artificial computer Earth matrix. In other words, everything is connected. It's just that different parts of the Earth don't actually acknowledge this. But that's because technology is always there. It's just that it may not be always openly shown. In other words, you could have most people being completely surveilled and tracked without their knowledge. It's only when you become aware of this, when they actually either want you to know that you are being patrolled, as is the situation in Sydney, or where they don't want you to realise that you are being patrolled and watched. And the reason that they don't want you to know is because they don't need you to know, or they know that you are already under their control, or you're not something that they need to suppress at that particular time. Everything is gauged according to your thinking, your awareness, what you're doing, how other people see you. All these things seem to be determining factors as to whether you are tracked and surveilled openly and stalked to where you're aware of it, or to where it is taking place but it is covert or hidden. So that just simply means that one will be extremely intense and very limiting and very mind-controlling and very all-consuming, and you will, apart from like now when it's after midnight, so I will have a couple of hours respite before the planes that have been going over the roof every minute from 5 o'clock in the morning right through till 11 o'clock at night. So basically you don't get much relief. And also you don't just have planes going over, you have the oppressive sound system going on around you on the street, so that you have very mechanical, very negative, low frequency sounds coming into the house at the same time as jet airplanes going right over the roof. So you have all these suppressive, it's a sound suppression. And then if you go outside, you have a sight suppression with the traffic and the civilian stalking patrollers. So you have this sight and sound display taking over your senses, with only a respite from it for a couple of hours, like now while I'm making this video. So that's the situation in the city of Sydney, and the actual wind is blowing up out here. And that also is another thing too. There always has to be constant motion. Even late of the night now, when it's after midnight, on a weeknight, so it should be dead quiet, it actually won't be. It actually will still have sounds, but the mobile won't pick them up. Like, if I started to feel really happy right this very moment, a motorbike from even a block away will send a very loud, aggressive road rage sounds that sounds as though it's going right past you on the street, even though it will be a block away. And this just shows you how loud that motorbike would actually be. But unfortunately, I can't always record this. But I might just take a chance and stand outside the front door here. And actually there is an aeroplane going in front of my eyes as soon as I come out. Can you see it? It's not loud, but look, moving across the sky right in my line of sight. So my sight was immediately shown that I'm being patrolled by a suppressive jet aeroplane after midnight. And before that I could hear a beeping noise of some vehicle, but the mobile does not pick up every sound, but my ear does. The sound has to be loud and I have to be able to show it. But I can hear that plane, and it's just crossed my line of sight as soon as I opened the front door. So this is after midnight on a weeknight, when there should be no sound, no one should be around. And actually, if I'm not recording, there would probably be a patrol car that will come right past and will actually just patrol and go back down the street. Sometimes, more often than not, they will even stop right in front of you, and then just turn around and go back, as if to say, you are under our constant surveillance. Our eyes are always watching you. You have no life or space of your own. That actually is so conscious and out in the open. But I have to wait to show that. And unfortunately, I can't always show it, but I think I am going to show something here. What do you know? Over my head as I speak. Look. Okay. Over my head as I speak. All day from 5 in the morning through till 11 and still going over my head. And this is at the quietest time, because today has been so noisy all day in the house, with sound, mechanical sound coming from very close by. And basically it's all part of this human oppressive, suppressive system where they're using sight and sound in a hidden but also seen manner, but it's only seen by me. It's only heard by me because it follows me wherever I go, because I'm the target of this suppression in the city of Sydney. And I surmise and assume that only a limited number of humans are suppressed and surveilled in this open oppressive manner. And I think this is because, as I've said, one is a human being with human possibilities and human vibration and frequency, and the other is an android psychopathic being in human form, which simply means it's not human, and it actually controls the limited number of remaining humans in the city of Sydney. And in the city of Sydney, wait, a picture says 1,000 words. There is still jets going over my head at this late time. Now, I wanted to show, and was going to make a video inside. I'm standing outside the front door here, extremely late of a night, and I was going to actually show the transhumanism that has taken place on me. In other words, where my mind is being used by the powers that be that control the computer internet system as part of transhumanism. And I cannot prove this the same way I can show the planes in a true physical sense. I can show the physical reality of what is on the computer system and what is being projected onto there, or being shown on the the internet. But I can't show you what's in my mind, so I can't physically prove the same as the planes or the traffic, and the same goes for stalking, patrolling civilians, because some things look normal and natural, and it would be like if you had a personal stalker. If you had a personal stalker, say, stalking you, unless you can prove that you know that particular individual, it would just look like someone randomly hanging around, or someone, and if it's a community stalking patrol system, it's impossible to prove with civilians. And it's the same with the internet. Unless I could show you what my mind is thinking, and then show that it is being directly relayed onto the computer internet system. What I show when I go onto the computer and say, this is what I was thinking, but now it's on the computer under the name of someone or something else on the computer internet system. All I'm saying is that they're using the human mind, just as we know that the computer system does read your mind, in the sense that when you put something into it, that is giving your mind to the computer. It's just that in my case, because I have implants and microchips in me and a continual surveillance system, and there's technology connected to my human brain, which of course is invisible, just as the internet computer system is invisible to the naked eye. All technology is invisible to the naked eye. These planes are not invisible to the naked eye, though, are they? No. I'm only sorry that the mobile doesn't show how low and loud those planes actually are. And wherever I go, I have planes in my line of sight. If they can't suppress you with the traffic patrol system or civilians around you, it just depends on your own mental state. Usually you are suppressed, but don't forget we're talking about frequency and vibration here. So human frequency and vibration, even when you're nearly dead like I am, mentally, in other words, you're actually quite depressed and not feeling happy at all, it's still higher than the frequency and vibration of a psychopathic android being. These beings are survival machine beings, so they don't experience, just as psychopaths don't experience any of the higher vibrations. And this is scientifically, psychologically proven and is openly available as information to anyone all over the psychopathic internet computer control system. I'm trying to say that everything in the city of Sydney, and even in most places in the earth, is really a patrol system, whether it be around you at a physical real life level and also at an internet computer control system. Always a human being. If you are a human being, you are always being watched and patrolled, and your actions and your thoughts and your humanity is being studied by these beings so that they can assimilate it and take over, and essentially take over the human mind, keep control of the earth. But also I would say that the vast majority of the android race is also tracked and surveilled. It's just that they are part of that tracking surveillance system. So because by their very nature they are controlling and observing, because they are non-living and non-life essentially in a way, and they don't relate to life, they don't relate to life at all. They don't relate to anything living, because this is a fact. So they only relate to they actually relate to the computer system. They could relate to anything artificial. They don't relate to life. They prefer dead objects. We're actually told that the psychopathy of psychopathic, malignantly psychopathic, and those that are steeped in the spirit or the psychopathy really of narcissism and paranoia and all these controlling anti-life types of human beings actually don't relate to life at all, but also they use objects. They relate only to dead objects, we're told, and because they themselves are non-life, they relate only to dead objects, and they actually don't relate to anything living. In fact, living things to them are to be controlled because they have to make them dead. because it's a threat to their power and control, because they are outwardly only observing, because they're the equivalent of, they are artificial intelligence, so essentially they only observe everything. They don't feel anything. You know, they're a machine, they're the same as a robot. They may imitate that and understand it, but they don't feel it. That is the same type of plane going over my head, that is not a regular plane. You know, only a small amount of the planes that are in my, you know, area are jeez. Running across the roof. Oh dear, I better go inside. I'll have to. I got frightened there because you see, everything is programmed that way too, to where, like, even I like the birds and the wildlife, but I don't particularly want negative life forms running around the place. But you know, the android people around, they set up things so that you have things that are unpleasant. Like, there was a possum in my roof, but that was taken away, which I didn't mind feeding, you know, for safety and comfort. But now I have like negative life in the roof, but that will be left there because it's frightening and distressing. You know what I'm saying? So you end up with that was just what went across the roof, the banging noise, as to bring me inside so that I don't keep showing that there are surveillance planes going over my head. But probably I feel very sick actually. And also I'm going to say that there is possession actually not taking place, but there is possession. There's possession. When I say possession, because I don't understand these things, but we know that the demigods and the gods of the Matrix, that means anyone who's anyone, usually shows one-eyed allegiance to the one-eyed God. And today, this eye, the left eye, and all down the side of my face has been feeling as though something is trying to take it over, because essentially that's like their technology trying to eliminate both my eyes, so that basically I'm not, see? So basically I'm not, I'm being dehumanized, I'm being transhumanized, because the one-eyed demigods of Earth, they serve the one-eyed androgyne android god of Earth, which is sometimes referred to as the original Lucifer, the original being of light that became Satan, the being of dark, because the iniquity of darkness and insanity was shown to be in this being, because it had the delusion of wanting to be God of everything, and even was a mind virus that was affecting the other beings in creation. And this is also what happens in Earth, where this being has basically taken over with the mind virus of most beings in human form. That essentially means that they are human beings that have a particular type of human body that is able to be infiltrated by this mind virus. They are essentially what some people call the organic portals, or the organic, that means they're natural human vessels, or in human natural they come in human natural form that are organic portals. In other words, they're portals for the mind virus of the God of Earth. So that simply means that that they are connected to this God's mind, or if you want to put it more factually, it's an artificial intelligent mind, or an artificial intelligent internet computer system. And essentially these android beings, or organic portals, which are like human portals or human connections to the artificial intelligence internet computer system. And so it's transhuman, but also the aim is to get the real humans connected to this. And you can hear, even out here at this, 1 o'clock in the morning now probably, you're actually looking at still negative, what I call demonic traffic sounds, even though they're infrequent, because as you can see the street is vacant. Even the patrol cars are shying away from showing themselves. But as you can see, if they don't have that, there's been planes directly over my head, and I can hear, not this very moment, the Lucifer's wind is blowing up now, and that is showing its anger, because basically this is a total matrix, even though of course it is controlled by the you could say the virtual reality that is being displayed through implants in my mind. So in other words, I'm under total transhumanism, total mind control. The only difference between me and some people is that I am conscious and totally aware of it. This makes it very mentally disturbing, but at the same time I am aware of takeover. But being aware of takeover doesn't stop takeover, but it certainly draws attention to not just this artificial reality, and not just to the presence of higher powers, whether it be the demigod controllers of Earth, or literal creation. In other words, where humanity come from, or where you come from, and also who and what made who and what. And when you see that you have two groups, and one is trying to suppress and limit another group, or in other words, you have certain apparent human beings using technology and using psychological warfare against other human beings. And you have to say, if there really isn't any dispute, and if there really isn't any known differences, or any reason that I know of, then I have to know that they are discriminating against me and limiting me because they see you as somehow different and they don't like the difference. And you have to say, what is that difference? And that's when you realise, when you watch and observe them, and you realise they're watching and observing you in minute detail. Like when they suppress you for doing something and then they go and copy that same action, that shows that they are imitating your actions and your beliefs. So therefore, that means that they don't really think those things. They don't really believe in those things, but they want to be seen and shown to be human. And that's when you realise that you have the androgyne, non-human earth beings, and then you have, what I would say the original man and woman human earth beings. And the main differences between them is that one is the same as a psychopathic android, a survival machine being, and the other is a potential human being that has high or a different frequency and vibration to, say, a machine. So a machine has a machine only can only create negative sound and negative situations. It can imitate doing positive things, which is why that's part of deception. So basically human beings follow the demigods or believe in human beings that are actually not human. But these beings only know how to be human by studying and imitating the real humans that they literally surveil and stalk at a very detailed personal level. And this is the end game deception. And there's, so I'm going to go inside and finish up on this video, and I'm not going to be disturbed or distracted, shall I say, by the aeroplanes going over the roof at this extremely late or early time at night. And they have been going since 5 o'clock in the morning all day right through to this time. So you only got a couple of hours at the most where you don't have a patrolling plane over your head. And in my case, if I went down the road just a block at 2 or 3 in the morning, I could still get a plane over my head, which means that's an illegal plane 100%, as are these ones once the curfew time has passed. In other words, it's not part of the city system of Sydney that planes are supposed to be going, after 11 o'clock at night. But as you can see, even at the legal, lawful level, it's still 5 to 11 o'clock at night. So you've got like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, about 17 or 18 hours of continual noise and continual jet suppression. and they go like every minute or two, and actually they're going more than that, because even low sorry even low they are going at even though they are going at like once every 1.5 to 2 minutes, say. And don't forget that is like with that sound going, usually there will be another jet in the background going. So you've actually still got that continual jet noise usually. But then you have these mechanical sounds coming into their house from these set up work situations on the street. And if it is almost next door and they use their machinery at optimum noise level, which they do, if they think that your frequency and vibration is even remotely human, they hit you with the most destructive, negative, mind-controlling and mind distressing sound that they can. And it's continual. So it basically goes on and off, hour after hour, day after day. And this is also wherever you go. So if you decide that you're going to stay out for a few hours to avoid the sound suppression, then they just decide to dig up the streets wherever you are going. So basically they want you in the house under, sight and sound suppression usually. And on the street, they want you under sight and sound suppression, depending on which can make you feel the worst. I mean, my left eye, where they're literally trying to, because the androids only have one eye really. They're called one-eyed beings, and they worship the one-eyed god of Earth. The one-eyed god of Earth sees things one way. The one-eyed god of Earth is not human. The one-eyed god of Earth is your divine androgyne android being. This was before the creation of humanity, and this being resented and didn't agree with the creation of humanity for two reasons. One, that it was from creation and not the same as itself, but also it could multiply and make more real human beings. And this is all, so it was expanding natural creation as opposed to worshipping artificial android creation. That's putting it simply, even though it sounds very complex and even very, disturbing and out of my own realm of thinking. But I have to pretend that I understand a lot more than what I actually do. And this is just because, we don't, it probably seems as though my particular mind is under continual mental spiritual warfare, as they say, because really it's spiritual warfare, but it's actually just physical warfare. It's just that it's using the psychology of the human mind through your senses to wage a war against insignificant real humans that they can't openly suppress or eliminate because it has to be done slowly. And also it has to be seen to be natural and normal, but also it has to be where the person, like myself, looks as though I'm basically insane and one-eyed like the one-eyed god of Earth. In other words, they reverse it round, and then its android beings pretend to be the best imitation of a human being. That's essentially how the name of the game in this endgame against humanity is working. So, my eye now, here, feels as though it's almost being closed down And this is like closing down my humanity, because only human beings have 2 eyes or 3 eyes. In other words, they have what we're told is also the 3rd eye. That means human intuition, or human able to sense the energy and able to sense things that are not always like fully observable, but even human beings still observe also the real reality. Whereas the android beings and the one-eyed god of Earth only sees things one way, only has one eye literally, and they want to close down human beings' 2nd eye, so that they don't see the truth, in other words, so that you don't see things as they really are. So you become out of touch and almost insane like them, basically. Because essentially, if I am being hit with negative sight and sound all the time, and aware that I'm being surveilled into oblivion, and I'm physically under pain and suffering, because like I say, even my eye now is feeling pain. This is a common occurrence even over the last 10 years, when I became aware of the psychopathic nature of many people around me. And this became a big stress. And essentially that closes down my humanity, because it makes you feel as though you can't live, you can't be happy. So that means you become less human. Human beings are the only ones that can be happy and do positive things in the form of happiness. The androids do things that make them feel good, but their idea of happiness is not proper happiness. It's only about power and control. That's their version of happiness. But it's not a high vibration, it's a non-vibration. It's basically a robot world with android robots controlling real human beings and suppressing their humanity, suppressing your happiness, suppressing your high or potentially high frequency and vibration. This also means that they keep control of Earth, because then Earth remains a cyborg, very controlled computer reality, controlled by android computer using androgyne beings. All these things are connected, because, they're all connected, see, because, like I say, they want to close down human beings at their higher level have 3 eyes. They have the 3rd eye, which is what it's invisible, but it simply means like a second sight or an intuition, to be able to see, to be able to just know things without actually seeing them. In other words, you might meet someone, and you might just, by the tone of their voice, for instance, understand that that their words don't match the energy or the tone of their voice. Most people, even like myself, will be a lot more seduced by the actual words, so I may miss the flavour in which it's delivered. I may miss the finer points of the whole interaction. That's what I call the 3rd eye. That's just I think, an example of it. Oh, my eye is really, see, they're really trying to close down my humanity. My eye there is feeling very pained, and I can't explain it, but it's feeling very sore. Not pain, but kind of as though there is something trying to get into it. And this is the same as possession, but it's essentially really just closing down my humanity through the use of technology and through the use of a sight and sound program waged against my senses and my mind. So that this is nothing particularly unscientific or extraordinary. It's just a simple fact that if you annoy someone with a lot of sound, that can mentally and physically give you a headache, and it can give you almost like a migraine over an eye. You see? It's like that, and that's exactly what has happened to me in the past, and this is what it is. It's really just trying to take my humanity from me, take my potential for happiness or high frequency and vibration. And that way I never get to have a happy life. Or also, I think that it also means that they can keep control of the Earth matrix. Now, this is another thing that I'm just speculating, but I believe it's true. I was going to say, I'm just going to turn this round here now. I don't know if I'm coming out or not, but, you know, because I can't see what I'm actually filming, so I'm going to turn it round and keep talking here. Even though I'm physically very limited, I can still speak very clearly. And because I'm motivated by the situation, and even motivated more by anger, which is actually not a high frequency and vibration. In fact, it's almost, anger is a lot more in line with the androids and the computer reality or the matrix. Now, what I was going to say was that I've lost my actual train of thought here, because the reason that you know, because that appliance was making a sound too. Everything makes a sound, and because I've been sight and sound sensitized, so basically it's not just that I have extremely bright, flickering, blinding lights in my eyes if I go out of a night anywhere I look, but it's also that I am being bombarded with these wherever I look. So it affects my actual eyes. It's putting a strain on my eyes. And then my senses are being hit with the negative sounds, just as you have the jets going over making a louder, very, you know, jet aeroplane noise is not usually regarded as soothing and conducive to pleasant, you know, a pleasant, happy moment. But if that was only like every few hours, you could probably even see it as interesting or novel, but it's not like that. When it's a continual bombardment, you know, all the time, then it literally brings your mind and your physical state of being down. So you literally got like, yeah, you can have headaches and pains in your actual head because of jackhammer noise literally going into your ears all the time. You know, so, and the same with the planes. And the only thing to do is to then block out all sound, which I can't physically do, but even though I block some of it out, then I'm limiting my senses, I'm limiting my reality, I'm not living, because I can't enjoy going outside and hearing anything. So it's like being deaf and not looking at the reality because you're always being hit with flashing, blinding lights. Every vehicle has their headlights on high beam, and every vehicle is flashing. The actual vehicles around Leichhardt have flashing front and back lights whenever you look there. This is regarded as legal and acceptable around this area. To have the entire vehicle flashing lights when it is not even pulling in and out, and even if it is pulling in and out, it's usually still only pulling in and out when you look at it. But most of the time, they're actually showing me that they're just stalking and patrolling and sitting in their cars with their headlights not only beaming at you, but huge flashing on and off lights, which which must be added to the vehicle. So this is an army operation. In other words, this is a spiritual army operation against a human being. And I don't want to be dramatic about it, but it is deliberate human spiritual suppression, because to me a human being is a spiritual human being. All human beings are spiritual because they're not a robot. They're not an android. They have potential for happiness and high vibration. They normally, if they are left on their own or not suppressed and not limited and not conditioned to feel angry and suppressed and anti-life, this is the whole purpose of this matrix, is to make humanity like the cyborgs that control the Earth matrix. I can't, I'm getting a headache here. I'm going to just try to show how my mind literally is transferred onto the screen. Now, here we have, see, I'm thinking that I'm a slave to the illusion of love, because basically if you are only associating with androgyne beings or even psychopaths, basically you're only going to be a slave to a false love. And I also feel almost dead. And yes, I have no energy and I need some iron. This is just what came up right this minute, okay? So I'm going to show how this particular video has downloaded in a visual image. In other words, it's reading my mind and it's transferring, it's transhumanism. I am being, my mind is being transferred onto this screen as I think certain things. So essentially, like if I play this particular video, which is supposed to be an older video, but none of these videos are old. They actually just transfer everything instantly and only in the moment, but they change the dates on them so that if I say this has been transferred into my from my mind onto the screen, only say in this moment or as I'm doing it, or even just the minute I turn the screen on, I cannot show that or prove that, because the date on that video will say other years. But that's because the androids and the demigods, or the demigods of Earth that control the computer system, also are controlling the human mind. So they are making out that time is different to what it is. I can't actually explain that legitimately. I actually can't, because it just simply means that you're always being, the mind is always being manipulated so that your past, present and future is not what I think it is. I may not even have the correct memories of what my past was. You know, I may not have the correct memories of what my past was. You know, I probably don't have the correct memories of what my past was. In other words, they are totally manipulating the human mind. But it's very hard I cannot prove it, because obviously I don't have access to that. I only am aware of this manipulation taking place, and I see it directly on the computer, because you know, see, we have that image of that particular lady was exactly the same as the image that exactly the same as the image that I saw of a lady in a movie yesterday, and so today they're using a similar image of a lady in this music video which I just happened to turn on. So I'm going to show that the imagery in this is taking images from my mind directly and transferring them onto the screen. And I'm going to just say this, but I can't prove it because you can't read my mind. It's the computer system that's reading my mind, not you if you're observing me. And I like pearls. I like pearls. I like pearls. So essentially, I like pearls. So they put pearls on the lady. Now here we have the malignant narcissistic man. Can you see? And the malignant narcissistic man, that means that this is an androgyne man being. So, so I'm just going to try to show something here, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can show it very well. Divine androgynes, obviously, too. You can see this, that they are duality beings in these videos. We have reversal roles, we have inverted androgyne beings. That just simply means that you don't have anything natural and you don't have creative, natural human beings, if you want to look at it that way. Okay. Okay. Spring is turning close to mine. Okay, so we're going to see how they have to reflect the image. One-eyed symbolism, one-eyed allegiance to the God of Earth, as they want to transhuman me into a one-eyed human where I have no humanity. And they seduce and pretend and imitate. And even at a physical level, they take you over with their one-eyed. That also there, see, that's me. Today, all I did today was look. Oh, wait on. This also, I'm just going to show this here, but I can't show it. Hold on. Okay. Oh. This was something also that I wanted to show because this is just showing how my mind is transferred. All today, I was looking through a corner of the window whilst I was being suppressed with negative mechanical, work system coming into my ears. I was looking at some green leaves. And even the green leaves, Lucifer and the Matrix always blows up a wind onto the leaves to make them move. So there's never a still image to look at. Now, all I'm saying is that that's what I had been doing for a couple of hours. So I was looking at these leaves on, like a bush or part of, shrubbery. And I do this a lot. And the leaves always move. And I'm just going to show that as I turned on this video, after doing this, I just noticed it now. See? Watch. That's leaves moving. See how it was still? It was still and then it moved. and the pearls, see? And the divine androgyne lady, the cup of tea that I've been drinking, the apple, the forbidden fruit that I need to avoid, the seductive android being, see? The seductive android, see how my cup is shattered and the apple, and they're screaming with rage because I'm aware of it. But wait to see the imagery here. The man, the divine androgyne, see how the image is cracked, the cracked image. See how the mirror was clear? That image has to be represented, that this androgyne, its image. It's all about image and being seen as false beings of light, or being seen as real human beings when they're not. But they're really shattered, insane. That's the real image of that divine androgyne man or being. It looks like a real human being, but if it looked in the mirror, that image is what I see, but if it looks in the mirror, it's really shattered glass. It's a shattered mind. It's a disturbed, insane mind. Its actual mind is fragmented, and that is psychopathy. That is the psychopathy of what they call malignant narcissism, which is the god of earth. And I don't know if I can actually show that very well, but it's interesting. It's interesting. Am I still recording here? Yes, I think I am. But it's interesting that, see this image here. I just paused that on there, but that image is, see, all I'm saying is, see, it's slave to love. So human beings are a slave to love and to the higher vibrations and any form of life and love, you see. But most of the time you're dealing with the androids, and that is a divine androgyne being. Anyone can see that, as they all are. It's just that some are more clearly defined as a duality, inverted, androgyne being. But essentially, they want to represent being an imitation of life, or they want to be seen as a being of light. They want their image to be the same as what they look like. But in reality, they have a shattered mind because they're artificial intelligence. They will shatter the human mind too, the same way. They're fragmented. They don't have any, how can I explain it? I find it hard to explain, but it is the psychopathy of like the same as what people call the psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic, paranoid, out of touch, controlling human being. And they're one-eyed because they only live for control and seduction. But if you could read their mind, you would see a shattered image. You wouldn't see a whole human being. You wouldn't see a real human being. And you certainly wouldn't see a high vibrational human being. But the image will give the impression as though it is a real, whole, real human being. Artificial intelligence always ends up, from what I've been told, it's the equivalent of chaos and insanity, because from a human standpoint it suppresses humanity, it suppresses all the human traits, and it only seeks to control. And its actual thinking is not really rational, I don't think. But they present the image of being the most rational human being. But it's a cover-up. That's why very few people can only spot the psychopathic, malignant, narcissistically controlling human being if they are with them for either a long period of time or in a close personal relationship. But most people will see the image, the false image, which will be like that, or that, all these images. But they won't see that. They won't see the broken glass. They won't see that that is really what's happening. That's what their mind is really like. Their mind is really nothing but a fragmented, shattered, some people have even said multiple personality. That simply means that they don't have one single real identity or one single really image. They present that. They present a false image of light or a false image of being a real human being. But in reality, they're just fragments of ideas and things that they imitate from being in the company of real human beings. That's what artificially intelligent android beings essentially do, I'm told. And if you think about it, they would have to. They're artificial intelligence, they're the equivalent of a machine being. And they are a machine being. From a human standpoint, it's just that they come in a natural cloned human body. So that's the deception. And also because they infiltrate humanity, study humanity, get into personal relationships and interactions with real humans, they basically acquire fragments of what it is to be human from the human beings that they encounter. So they take these into their artificial intelligence as kind of like a data or like part of the computer mind or part of the intelligence, and they store that as data or information, just as the computer system stores data and information and the internet, and then relays it back to you, spoken through the mouths of the android beings. Except that you will think and assume they're real human beings. That's why they say that these androgyne beings have split multiple personalities. Split multiple personalities, shattered glass. Their image is nothing but split, shattered personalities or shattered ideas because they're really not real. So they take ideas and thoughts and everything that they observe from a human being. They take the human personalities of the people they encounter and take it into their data system to use to seduce and control other human beings at any given time. But they actually are not a whole real human being. But they can present that image. But that is what they really are. That's what they look like. That's what they look like. But that's what their mind is really like. Shattered glass. Dispersed thoughts. Nothing stable or coherent. But they try very hard to present a real image or a real personality. They try to show themselves as stable, real human beings. And they successfully do that usually in limited amounts, I would think. It's only those that actually really know a psychopath or a malignant narcissistic person that actually realise that they actually are a disturbed mind or a shattered mind. That's the whole thing, so it's like that. So it's really a shattered mind. It talks and walks like a real human, but it has no real humanity, no real personality, no stable personality, no stable identity. So whatever you're seeing is a false image. That's what you see, but that's what is really in the mind. They're machine beings, survival machine beings, so that means they're operating in paranoid fear state. And of course they make me into a paranoid fear state, because if I'm always bombarded and surrounded by them, I'm also in what they call the flight or fight mindset. So I'm always in a state of fear, which is how they want me to be one-eyed and in a state of fight and flight fear response like them, while they coolly take my energy and coolly represent being an imitation human being. They coolly represent that, camouflaging the reality and turning me into that, which is really them. See, that is really the mind of that. But it's a reverse world and it's all about deception, but it's very hard to show it. But that video was literally downloaded, the images are downloaded from my mind directly onto the music video, because I was actually thinking about the moving plant and the shattered multiple personality mind. And basically they also like to show humanity the truth and what takes place. It's just that usually if you watch a music video, you don't always interpret it just the way that I've explained it. Sometimes you do understand the deeper meanings or the duality meanings. There's usually many ways of looking at everything that's presented on the screen from the Matrix God, or from the powers that be that operate and are disciples for the Matrix God, or Lucifer, the original being of light, and its many fallen ones. When we say fallen, that means fallen from the grace of creation or fallen from God, I'm told. So, so they are like, some people say, well, that creation is filled with angels, so they are your fallen angels, because they fell from the grace of God. They fell from the place of creation and moved into their own godlike false matrix reality of technology. So they create technological beings, they create artificial intelligent android beings, and they control humanity by populating the earth with these. But also they control humanity at a much more mind-controlling psychological level, because they're actually creating a virtual reality world for me, around me, by literally having the androids patrol around me using a computer surveillance tracking system, but also using the microchips that are implanted in my body, which is also a future or reality, even though it's also a now reality. So we know that there is intention and the use of microchips to combine with technology for human use. It's just that they experiment on unsuspecting, defenseless citizens like myself, where they can implant you with these things through medical procedures And the medical intervention is not against your will, but sometimes it's necessary medical procedures, and the demigod doctors or the psychopathic doctors of the earth, are told to put microchips into human beings to test to see how this will operate in the future. And if doctors and the powers that be want a computer-controlled city or reality, then they will agree to this, because they see this as the same as animal or human experiments in a laboratory. They have to test and do trials on human beings and life forms to see how effective it will be, to see the human reaction to their microchips, to see how much they can control a human being with it. And I think that's the whole purpose of it, really, because really computer technology is transhumanism, and I'm transhuman and mind-controlled. But if it was about me collaborating with the computer and combining with the computer naturally or intentionally, why do these things have to be done underhandedly? If it is all innocent and good, why was I not informed? Why was it done against my will, without my permission? So why am I being experimented on and used as a, a test tube example of how, a human being how a real human being will react to being microchipped and put into almost a virtual reality world. Because it is like a virtual reality world when the microchip that's in me is being used to track me and surveil me by the android beings that are around me. So, or even if it was just human beings that are using the microchip and using their tracking systems to basically watch and stalk me in a very aggressive manner every day. And that, of course, is also part of the nature of psychopathic, malignant, narcissistic human beings, that they need the negative energy from a human being, so therefore they want to make the real human being that has positive traits feel very negative. And they derive a sense of power and pleasure from this, I'm told. So even if it was just the powers that be using the psychopathic nature of large groups of basically, you could say, human beings that don't have any reason to exist apart from playing in a video game to control an innocent human being or an unbeknownst human being. When I say innocent, I mean that they're not aware of this and they're not actually, it's a video game or a battle where the prey is unaware that they're in a video game, unaware that there's a game or being hunted by, by hunters that are seeing them as prey. Because that's the mindset of a psychopath, they actually like to do these things. And, so essentially, They don't, you know. But that's just showing that that particular androgyne human being seduced the woman at the start of the video. And maybe the female didn't actually realise this till it was too late. You know, because physical and mental, emotional interactions with these androgyne beings is the equivalent of humans mingling with the fallen demons or fallen, you know, original angels or Lucifer's disciples, because they want to make their own cyborg Earth and they want to be God of the cyborg Earth and God of humanity by turning human beings into cyborgs. See, that's essentially how it works, you know. So, and I just, while I'm still talking here, even though it's difficult, I might just try to, when you pause the actual demigods on their videos, you do get a different image, or sometimes you can, you know, I'm literally being taken over here at a mental and physical level by the oppressive, negative, demonic technology around me. And I say demonic because it's technical and it's real, but that's the same as demonic possession. So I'm saying that if you have a virtual reality world, if you have a total control system, if you have implants where your mind is being controlled by cyborg, androgyne, android beings around you, if all these systems are in place in, say, the city of Sydney, and it actually just said Sydney is becoming a dark city, and that it's impossible to afford to live in Sydney. You can't afford to live in Sydney like me, not just money-wise can you not afford at a physical level to live in Sydney, because materially it's difficult. You cannot afford mentally to live in Sydney because it will destroy your spirit, it will destroy your mind. I mean, I literally have transhumanism, mind control taking me down and over every day. My human ability to be of a human spirit, or to affect the frequency and vibration of myself and anything around me, is being diminished daily. In fact, it's almost to where, yes, I feel dead. I'm still physically breathing, but I actually feel physically dead. And I feel mentally and emotionally dead. I'm not getting any positive vibration or frequency from any other human being. Not at all. All life forms around me are being used against me in every way. It's a total psychological war and battle that is going on against, you know, an older human being in the city of Sydney. And this is taking place all over the world, but it's taking place only against real human beings. So it's only taking place against humanity. Of course, the androids are being surveilled and watched and used, but they are consciously, or at least participating in it. Whether they are fully aware of this or not, I cannot say. Because if I'm being mind controlled and mind suppressed, you know, they are already totally mind controlled and totally suppressed, because androids are already at the lowest frequency and vibration and energy. They don't have the potential for any form of human happiness or any of the normal 7 human emotions. They, like the psychopath, we're told at the internet psychological level, when I say that I mean the internet psychologists will tell you that psychopaths don't have the capacity for 7 positive human traits, and that they are the equivalent of a cyborg. They are essentially survival machine beings. They live for control and survival and power, because power is control, isn't it? I mean, control is power. If you control something, you have power over it, don't you? So that is the same thing, I guess, really. So, so I'm just gonna, this video came up and it's one that I did before, and I've got a headache here. I'm getting, the actual room is full of intense heat and radiation, and I've been hit with negative sound at like a jackhammer going in my head from the stage work close by all day. And if I go out and down the road, the same thing happens. They just bring in a council workforce, which are really military army operatives posing as workmen, where they will set up elaborate stage work systems within your earshot so that you are continually being spiritually attacked or physically attacked, because it's mental attacks. If you have negative sound in your ears continuously, it is mentally debilitating. It can drive you crazy. And that's the whole purpose. They want me to have the same shattered mind as the android, androgyne beings. Many of them are elite demigods. They are your world stage players, and they're also the patrol force that's around you. And they make up the military and the army at a real level, but they also make up the military civilian army workforce that operates in plain clothes, just as you have plain clothes policemen and undercover detectives that pose as normal civilians in order to infiltrate the so-called criminal world. But in reality, it's a reverse world. You have criminal androids impersonating and infiltrating the real spiritual human world. Something in that realm or that way of thinking. It's a reverse world, and that's actually the reality. Everything is the opposite to what it is presented as, just as the image of the fella shows that the real image of the the human being is really shattered glass. That he wasn't a real human being, that he was an imitation man, and that his real image should be shattered glass, because basically that's the mind. It's a broken mind, it's a shattered mind, it's a disturbed mind, it's an unhuman mind. I can't use the right words to describe the psychopathy of a psychopathic, insane mind. But this is what we're told happens with artificial intelligence if it's allowed to run amok or actually infiltrate society, and that's what it has done. We're told that if you leave artificially intelligent robots to themselves, they become they become very aggressive and want to take control. And this is really the same as the warning about combining with these machines. Transhumanism also has been a warning. But in reality, all these things have actually taken place. Well, they've taken place with me anyway. In other words, while they're already getting, say, the remaining human beings on board with all these ideas to accept them, they basically experiment on unsuspecting and isolated human beings like myself in the city of Sydney. Because, you can't stop a patrol system around you. You can't stop the planes going over the head. You can't stop the council work programs. You can't get rid of implants out of your body. You can't expose and stop a microchip that's implanted in your body. This is what some religious belief systems say is the mark of the beast, because it will be implanted in your body, they say. And essentially I have the mark of the beast, or a microchip in my body, which is Lucifer's mark of the beast, Lucifer's microchip, controlling my mind, eliminating my humanity, turning me into a transhuman android being, suppressing my humanity, suppressing my happy creativity, positive vibration and frequency, positive frequency and vibration actions, or even just a neutral contentment in some way, because all this affects the earth and everything is frequency, vibration and energy. And they essentially want to make sure that I don't bring any light into the earth matrix. It has to all be artificial light. It has to be a closed matrix. It has to be a computer-generated virtual reality existence, because that's really what it is. All these things are in practice and available, and we're shown scientifically that they do all these things and that they can have them. It's just that most human beings don't realise that it is much more real, and that it actually takes place around in your reality. It's just that you don't always see it. Because while they have you under emotional mind control, that means environmental emotional mind control, to where you limit yourself, like I have most of my life, then they don't need to openly suppress you. They don't need to show you the true reality. But obviously, they actually do want to control real human beings and actually covertly, slowly eliminate them from the earth. So you're almost transhumanized before you're actually made extinct, which is what's happening to me every day. And I just feel the need to say this, even though, of course, no one's listening, and the demigods will be the false humans that will even expose the truth. As human beings, not myself, but other human beings become aware of this, they will get the information from the demigods, not from me. So they won't be getting the truth about the suppression of mankind from mankind. They won't be getting the truth from a real human. They'll be getting them from an imitation human android being. and they will assume it's the truth from a real human. These are what we call